are now invading the Atlantic Ocean. They destroy life on reefs, they eat their weight in other fish, and they will sting humans, and that's just the start of it.
When Hurricane Andrew hit Florida in 1992, it washed 6 lionfish out of an aquarium and into the open water. Since then, they've spread like a virus. Researchers say there could be millions now, and left unchecked, scientists fear the invaders may eat through every last inch of the Atlantic coast.
A native grouper species or a native predator, when they show up on those reefs, they remove about 36% of the fish that are there, just from natural predation. When lionfish show up on those same reefs, it's a 90% reduction. So basically the environment in the Caribbean and Bermuda won't be able to support the demand for food that lionfish are basically putting on the system.
What they're doing is they're taking all our juveniles. So we have large fish that will still be swimming around, but as they die out from either being caught by fishermen or by predators or old age, there'll be nothing to take their place. We're going to lose generations of fish here very shortly. We already are.
I think in certain areas they're looking at a potential collapse in their ecosystem just because of these fish.
In the South Pacific, the fish that they feed on know in their DNA to stay away from the lionfish. But in the Atlantic, they don't know. And so they swim right up to the lionfish and they get eaten. Because the lionfish is an ambush predator, his whole structure and way of life is to eat as much as he can when he can, because he never knows when he's going to eat again. In the Pacific, he may not eat for a month. But here in the Atlantic, he's eating not every day, but 5, 6, 7, 8 times, 10 times a day. In the last 5 years, the lionfish numbers have exponentially grown way past our wildest imaginations. We had no idea they could breed so quickly. Almost anywhere you go in Bermuda at 190 to 200 feet, you're going to find a lionfish or many lionfish. And in these hot spots, you don't find 10, 20, you find well over hundreds.
If we start fishing hard on lionfish, we take the pressure off other species that aren't doing so sharp, but also we're helping out. It's that greener than green choice.
We are going to use the lobster traps that we use here locally. They seem to work. There are fishermen who are pulling up their traps and having 40 to 50 lionfish in their traps at one time. So we know that they work.
So basically what we're going to do is use those same traps, don't change the design at all, and do a baseline study just on baiting. So we're going to set 3 traps on each of these hot spots where we're finding these congregations of lionfish. One trap will be baited, just like the lobster fishery do, and we expect to get lionfish and lobsters. The second trap will be empty with no bait. We know this works with other fish species, that an empty trap will work more effectively than putting bait in there. And the third trap will actually have high-resolution images of lionfish.
Lionfish seem to be attracted to themselves, and whenever one gathers, more comes, and we have more and more coming in. So if we put pictures of lionfish in these traps, we feel that this will attract them to the traps.
They are a target food species in the Pacific, where they're from. The meat is actually very high in omega-3s and very low in heavy metals because it's a quite quick-growing fish. Now, the reason we eat fish is for the omega-3s. So it makes sense that this is a good, healthy choice for us, never mind a green choice for us to target.
I started Ocean Support Foundation this year really because it will be a nonprofit organization to help with this lionfish problem. And so now we're going to be working with government, and Chris Fluke is now on the board of Ocean Support Foundation, and we're going to be using the funds that we can raise through Ocean Support Foundation to start putting a real war effort together.
So basically what we're going to be doing with the group from Ocean Support Foundation, Graham and his team, and also environmental protection, it's basically we need to do a baseline study to prove that theory, that traps with the images work better and get less bycatch than a trap with bait. And these are traps that are already, in use and approved to target lobsters.
I can't stress enough, I'm not a very dramatic person. In 10 years, we're going to have a real problem if we don't get onto this right away.
If anywhere can do it, I think it's going to be us, because the size of us, the seasonality of our temperature, the fact we've acted early, and the fact that we potentially can use traps whereas other places can't, just because of the topography of the reef and things like that. There's a few things to our advantage that make it possible.
This is our best chance. The battle has to be fought at 190 to 200 feet. We're going to draw a line around the island, which is about 70 miles around the island, and say this is what the trenches that we're going to dig in, and this is where we're going to fight the battle.
There is huge potential here, and people are open to the idea, and people see the threat lionfish cause to our environment. As far as the end product, whether or not we will make a huge difference, I think right now it's critical to stay on focus and keep doing what we're doing. We can always throw in the towel later, but we can't go back in 10 years and say, oh, we should have when we had the chance.
We caused this problem. Human beings are responsible for this problem. It's up to us to fix it. And this is something that we need to fix. We started it, we did it, and we need to fix it. We need to be responsible for our actions.
To implement our strategies and reduce the inherent risks in deep diving, it requires highly technical diving skills and, most importantly, specialized equipment. This is why we're asking for financial support.
Are now invading the Atlantic Ocean. They destroy life on reefs, they eat their weight in other fish, and they will sting humans, and that's just the start of it.